State of Decay 3. This, I couldn't help but laugh. So out of nowhere, of course, we record the episode on Wednesday. We put this episode out on Thursday. And then I can't remember if I actually don't have it in my notes here, if it was Thursday or Friday last week. Just out of nowhere, here's a new video from Undead Labs, just completely out of nowhere, announcing an alpha playtest for State of Decay 3. And the trailer, which if you're watching us on video right now, you're seeing that video play from our producer here, Tayo. And this trailer's got gameplay in it. It talks about kind of where they are, what's going on with the game. And I just want to say, I believe we summoned this into existence by bringing up State of Decay 3 on last week's podcast. So we're going to just go ahead and take full credit for the existence of this playtest. Like, I don't think it existed last Wednesday when we recorded. I think it all came together Thursday, just in the cosmos, in the matrix. It just, we summoned it. So you're welcome to everybody that's going to be getting access to this in the playtest. But yeah, State of Decay 3, in all seriousness, is back. It is just out of nowhere. It's back on everybody's radar. They've come out of the darkness. Again, a reminder, this game got announced in 2020, back in that fateful 2020 pandemic summer showcase that Microsoft did, where the console was coming out that fall and morale in the community was at its probably about its lowest in terms of where the hell are all the games. So that was the one where they had to announce everything that they were working on, even if it had barely started. Stuff like Perfect Dark and stuff like State of Decay 3. And it's been quiet ever since. There have been reportedly some development turbulence with this game, but they're on track. They're rolling now. After a quiet 4 years, it did show up in the 2024 Xbox Summer Showcase. And now here it is. We're going to be able to get some of you will be able to get your hands on it very soon. Alpha playtest starting next month. 6 years after its announcement, they're readying the game for an alpha test. Let's see, blah, blah, blah. Now let's just leave it at that for now and talk to Miranda about State of Decay 3. Are you pumped to get a look at this finally, Miranda?
Oh, yeah. So this was last Friday morning. I was on Blue Sky, and then I just saw it's like, State of Decay, Community Survival. That's what we're announcing today. Community Playtest for State of Decay 3. Sign up here. It's like, what? It's just so random. And they have new screenshots for it, which look gorgeous. Like, this is, I think it's pretty easy. No, is this? Yeah, I think State of Decay is probably my favorite zombie game. Like, the thing that's kind of taken that time in between now and then has been like 7 Days to Die, which has like some similar elements, but I play with my family. So instead of having, people I rescue, it's just pulling my sister out of a ditch. So, it's got similar vibes, but very different at the same time. And I think just look at the level of detail in these screenshots too. It just has me so excited. I didn't actually know there was a video posted until we got the sheet from Ryan too. So it's like, the messaging on this has been pretty sporadic, so it's super exciting. And if you guys didn't hear about this, please check it out, especially if you're listening, and go sign up for the playtest, because why wouldn't you want to play? And in the video, they show people playing it. I'm like, I want that to be me. I want to play. I want to check up State of Decay 3. I want to see what they've changed and how things have kind of advanced within their systems. I think sort of just thinking about games with winning formulas, like what State of Decay 3 is at its core is just awesome. Like, it's so much fun. It's so easy to sink into. And really but that being said, they have so much that can build up around and continue to improve. I think if you played from 1 to 2, like, what technical improvements they've made, and stability improvements. But even with all that done, I think there's still more that they can do, which is really exciting, because that means there's a lot of good potential for State of Decay 3.
Michael, what do you think?
Yeah. One of the games that I played last night was State of Decay 2. I knew we were going to talk about this, so I was like, well, I guess I'll throw on another game on the old Xbox Series X. I said this last week when we were just speculating on the idea of State of Decay 3, is that State of Decay 2, the jump from 1 to 2 was pretty massive. And 2 was a fantastic game, especially like during the time. Well, it took a little while to get there, but then it got to a really good place. And it's like, wow, this is one of the, I guess, more approachable, but still fully realized survival games. I think that survival games, especially on PC, tend to be hard to get into because there's just so much going on, and it feels like they're held together by duct tape, and that's part of their charm. That's part of their appeal. But State of Decay kind of took a lot of those elements and made them digestible in a game that's just complex enough to make like the base building aspects interesting, but also the combat and the survival elements interesting. But also, games have evolved so much since State of Decay 2 came out.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since that game came out, and they've had updates. I booted it up and I was like, what? There's a single player campaign, and there's the traditional campaign, and there's like a separate multiplayer aspect to it. Like, this game has changed a lot. But even then, I think State of Decay 2 still feels, and I don't mean this in a like derogatory sense, but it feels like an old game. And there's so much quality of life stuff that I could see changing for 3 that I'm like, oh, games don't really do things like this anymore, which is fine because obviously it's an older game. But I'm like, oh, if they did another one of these, they could change this, they could change that, they can streamline this, but they can make this more complex or more interesting. They can improve the way the shooting works. There's so many aspects that can be improved upon because games have changed since then, or just do things differently. I think there's also a better appetite for broader appeal for survival games now. And, we've seen genres like Battle Royale explode, and extraction shooters explode. And, survival games have always been around. I used to play a lot of H1Z1 when that was big. So, and that's like much older, but there is a version of State of Decay that is even better, that is more approachable, that is more fully realized than 2 was, even though that is a great game. So my hopes are pretty high now for State of Decay 3. I'm like, oh, this might be a game that I'm going to sink a lot of time into, just because obviously conceptually it's a good direction. I think that for as tropey as having zombie survival games are, I don't think many games do it as well as State of Decay 2 did. So I think 3 has a real opportunity to wedge itself to be one of Xbox's top performing games, and just something that is really fun for a community to jump into. I think this game can scale really well. So I'm kind of expecting this to be a pretty big W for Xbox.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about it feeling a bit like an old game. It turns out it is. It's 8
Yeah.
It's 8 years already. It was 2018. So
Yeah.
it's been a minute since State of Decay 2 came out. And we're looking at, at least one more year, maybe 2, before 3 comes out, which means, we're going about a decade between State of Decay games. I'm going to be super pumped to get back into this. 2 has, as you noted, has become a very polished, like, complete game, but it still wasn't when it first came out, which is when I spent the bulk of all of my time with it was spent right when it came out. And that was like 2 was supposed to be the polished one, because 1, the original game, was famously just this incredible idea. I'm with you, Miranda. It's my favorite zombie game too, because it's basically a zombie RPG, even though it's not like obviously a role-playing game, but it's, you're managing resources, you're managing your relationships with the other humans, and that stuff actually matters in the game. And it was a zombie game that had done zombies in a way that no other game had. Pretty much any other zombie game was an action game. That's really, or just a straight survival horror game like Resident Evil. So 1 was this incredible idea that just was so rough around the edges, but you loved it anyway. I reviewed it. I'm pretty sure I reviewed it for IGN, and I think my brain says I gave it an 8.9, where I just couldn't quite go to the 9, because that was back when we were on the 100-point scale, because it was so rough around the edges. And then with 2, Microsoft had bought Undead Labs. They were putting, more money into the game, and it's still launched in a pretty rough state. Though to their credit, they did launch it at a budget price. It wasn't $60. It was either 30 or 40. I don't remember at the time. But now, yeah, I think you're right, Michael. With this one, after who knows how much money has been put into this game by Microsoft and basically a decade, it's got to be, this has to be like the final ultimate polished realization of what State of Decay can be.
Mhm.
And God, I hope it's going to be. And hopefully these play tests that they're going to be doing with the community will help get it to that point without needing like a whole slew of post-release updates to get it to that spot. So I can't wait.
Michael, you said something really well too about comparing it to current survival games that are really popular. Like there are just so many now that, especially like if you played Rust forever ago, right? What was the other one that you just said?
H1Z1.
Z1. Yeah. Like there are a few that were just like old staples, right?
Yeah.
And that landscape has changed so much. And there's like a level of quality of life, as you said too, that like I expect to see. And if you don't have that, it's a little frustrating, right? Like one thing that always bothers me if I get into something with survival crafting, and regardless if it's RPG elements or whatever else it has, if it's single player or not, if I don't have a way to neatly organize all my items and like be able to find them easily with crafting, it is the most annoying thing. And that's like constantly comes up in some of these games where it like you're supposed to be collecting all of this stuff. Like, no, I'm just gonna throw it out there. Not Xbox, but like with Pocopia, right? Like, there's no easy way to find where you put something. Or like label your chests super easily, but it does have a smart thing where if you put one next to your crafting table, it'll pull from that chest. Like little things like that really need to be considered. And when they go unconsidered, like that can be a problem. So there's just as an example, one aspect of quality of life in these survival games. But I think one thing that does make State of Decay so compelling is that it's solo. Like you can play with other people, but it's a console experience in this survival crafting world, or more social relationships. But that's not as big of a thing, I would say, on console specifically. It's very much a PC thing, and I think as this genre has kind of gotten more popular, it has been very multiplayer only focused. And like, sure, you can play these by yourself, but it's just not the same. Whereas this is built around a solo experience where you can really like build up your town and form relationships with these survivors you find. And I think that's just so cool and unique. And I really am excited, I guess, just to say again, to see how they have kind of looked at the landscape and what innovations have been made in this genre and add that to their game.
Yeah, a lot of my excitement or hopefulness for this game doesn't even rely in the survival games or like zombie games. It's like we just have certain expectations for how management sims work and how inventory works or crafting works. Like all these different elements that make up State of Decay, we've seen other games in other genres figure out in a way. And then hopefully they can like incorporate a lot of that into a new game, because like that was one of the things about 2 that was a little had to wrap my head around. It's like how inventory works, how I gather materials, where they are, what their relationship is in the UI and all that. But we've seen that stuff kind of get hammered out in so many other different games. And so my hope is that 3 has a lot of that in it. So it's easier to engage with the aspects that you actually want to play in the game. And I'm like, and that's not to say like 2 was bad by any stretch.
No.
Like I think they had figured that like it's not prohibitively bad. It's just like it could be a little bit better by virtue of 8 years later and all the innovations that have come along with that. So
kind of adding on to that, I don't remember being frustrated by the inventory systems or like any of that kind of crafting management. Like that was fine. But I think as things scale up, it's just, just something to kind of look out for as well.
Well, thankfully, my memory is still somewhat intact. I did remember correctly. I gave it an 8.9. And yeah, I said in the middle of the review here, yes, State of Decay is an open world zombie survival game, but what's not obvious right away and glorious once you plumb its depths is that it's a full-blown role-playing game, a fantastic one at that. Switching back and forth between one of several player characters, you'll travel across the multi-town desert region recruiting new survivors. searching vacated shops and houses for supplies, and managing relationships with the people you encounter, both those in your party as well as other humans you're not aligned with. It's just, yeah,
13 years ago, man.
it's 2013 is pretty wild that it's been that long since the original. But yeah, it's to just finish the point of what you're both saying. It's now that the genre has evolved since State of Decay 1 and even certainly since State of Decay 2 in 2018. Like the bar's higher, and Microsoft, like there are no more excuses for it to not be a fully featured, fully polished product whenever it ships. Like, so I think the first one, which I went into in the review, I forgave all of that stuff because it was this new thing from a new team. It was a $20 Xbox Live Arcade game, one of the last Xbox Live Arcade games. And even 2 got some forgiveness because it was affordably priced. It was, like I said, either 30 or 40 bucks. But 3, there's no more leeway anymore. Like it's time to get it right. And again, that's where I'm optimistic that these playtests will help get it to that point at launch rather than months and months after launch. You know, Miranda, when you're talking about stuff like inventory management and the frustrations that can yield, that's hopefully the kind of thing that a community playtest will help get ironed out prior to launch rather than after it. And then, you know, to look another 10 years down the road, I will say, nothing against State of Decay 3 at all. I'm super optimistic about it, and I'm looking forward to checking it out. But I still want Class 4. And if you got to be kind of pretty in the weeds with State of Decay to know what I'm talking about there. When it was first coming out, the original was first coming out, Undead Labs talked about there was Class 3, which was the code name for State of Decay. And then they had also planned Class 4, which was going to be a massively multiplayer online version with hundreds or thousands of players in State of Decay, which that's a game I still want to play, particularly a State of Decay version of that is a role-playing game that has all of the State of Decay systems in it. So I hope State of Decay 3 is good enough that maybe we do one day get Class 4. We get that MMO version of this, because that would be a pretty interesting place to take the series once they've hopefully kind of perfected the single-player, 4-player co-op version of this after 3 tries. Yeah.
And like pretty hopeful that like this game will have enough success that it will get a lot of content updates post-launch, right?
Oh yeah.
This style of game is so ripe for post-game updates and DLC or just expanding the game in different directions. So that is not, I wouldn't think that is outside the realm of possibility. Of course, that comes with a lot of different kinds of challenges, but it's been so long since I played a core H1Z1. I know H1Z1 became a battle royale, like its like main appeal was battle royale, but I do miss that communal, that massively multiplayer survival aspect where we just kind of exist in a world and like to scale. Of course, like that's what would make it much more different than what already exists. So I don't know. I they got to get the game off the ground first, but I feel like pretty confident that this will be successful enough to where it will go in different directions and it will evolve over time. And yeah, I don't know. I think I'm in the mood for one of these.
Oh yeah,
and commit to it. So,
speaking of evolving, achievements are evolving. This was a post on Xbox Wire today. Thank you, Microsoft, for putting this up this morning rather than this afternoon or tomorrow after we record. Thanks for checking out this clip from Unlocked, IGN's weekly Xbox show. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to watch the full episode at youtube.com/IGN Games. New episodes of Unlocked drop every Thursday on IGN Games, IGN.com, and your favorite podcast platforms. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.